Thank you very much, Naledi. Indeed, we are here in Mahikeng in the northwest, precisely in Mahikeng Civic Center, where the Department of Economic Development is hosting a workshop with regards to the issue of consumer rights, where they are going to explain to consumers as well as business people about the consumer rights. But without any much ado, we are going to talk to Sello Mogopa, Director of Consumer Protection in the Department of Economic Development here in the Northwest, who's going to tell us about the workshop. This workshop is underway currently in this building. It has been basically presented today ahead of the National Consumer Rights Day, which will be held on the 15th of March this year. But let me go to Ntate Sello Mogopa, who's going to tell us much more about this workshop inside here. Ntate Mogopa, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks very much, and let me first appreciate the opportunity given and greet SABC listeners.
Now, give us an info as to what is going on inside here. What is the workshop all about?
Maybe from the onset, let me indicate that the World Consumer Rights Day is being celebrated under the banner of the Consumer Protection Forum, which is a body comprising 9 provincial consumer protection authorities as well as national regulators. As we are aware that consumer protection is a shared space where the provincial regulators share a concurrent jurisdiction with various national regulators on the consumer protection space. So this workshop, among others, is to create awareness on consumer rights. As we are aware that the 15th of March is a day that has been set aside by the United Nations to celebrate the achievement made by the consumer bodies as well as to raise awareness on the consumer rights.
We understand that there have been programs going on prior to this day. What is it that you've been doing to engage with consumers, and also are there any activities that have been going on prior to this day, or are there any other activities that are going to continue prior to the 15th of March?
Yes, indeed, as the workshop or the program is being celebrated in the province, our intention is to go to each and every district in the province. For the past 2 weeks, we have been to Dr. Suhomutsi Mompati, we have been to Khanyesa, Freiberg and Taung, we have been to Dr. KK, we have been to Potchefstroom and Klerksdorp. The main purpose is to go through various businesses where non-compliance goods are being removed from the stores, as well as unsafe food products. Bear in mind that the food that we eat, sometimes some of them are unsafe for human consumption. So as a joint inspection, we then cooperate with the provincial regulators as well as national regulators to ensure that goods that do not comply with the regulatory prescriptions get removed from the market, as well as foodstuffs that are not safe for human consumption. They also get removed by the relevant authorities.
We understand that you've been raiding the shops in 4 municipal districts. What challenges did you encounter as you were continuing to raid these shops?
Some of the issues that we have raised is your food stuff that have expired. Now, fortunately, as we go around, we've got environmental health inspectors, where in the event that they found that there are food stuff that are not safe, they might be dented food stuff, they remove such food stuff and condemn and get to be destroyed. From there, we've got other companies or regulators like the National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications, which are responsible to ensure that the products that do not comply with the approved standard, they also get removed. You can talk to issues like your toilet papers, your paraffin stoves. For as long as they do not comply, such goods get removed from the store and that get confiscated, and they've got to be removed and condemned.
Now, are you, as a department, are you doing enough to educate our business people with regards to expired foods and even the foods that are not to be consumed by people? Are you doing enough in order to make sure that those who are running those shops are doing what is correct?
Apart from the normal awareness program that we do to disseminate information, The workshop that we are having currently here, we have invited businesses. And as and when we conduct inspection, we also educate them about their role, that they need to protect the rights of consumers. They need to be informed, because as a business, you cannot be in a position to protect the rights of consumers if you yourself also are not aware of what are those rights that need to be protected. So we engage businesses on formal platforms and on informal platforms.
Now, how many shops have been closed since you started rolling out this program of raiding the shops?
Like I'll tell you that yesterday at Lichtenberg, 2 shops were closed by environmental health practitioners simply because they did not comply with health requirements. One, like we are having all other regulators. Now, if the shop is not compliant, such shop has got to be closed. Either you can find that the electricity is not in accordance with the standard, or you realize that if you go into the shops, we are aware that there's common practice in South Africa where people sleeps in the business premises, which is not really allowed in terms of the legislation, that you can be a business and in the same premises where the business can then sleep on those such premises. I think for health-related processes, such conduct are not acceptable.
As the department, are you only focusing on the shops in town, or you also go to villages, small townships, where we understand that there's a mushrooming of tuck shops and so on? Definitely,
that's where our main focus is. Bear in mind that if you go to the rural areas, we've got just current problems of repackaging of goods and foodstuff. Sugar. This guy that got a tendency of buying a 12.5 kg white sugar, and then they repackages into 1 kg, into 2 kgs, which is not acceptable. Bear in mind there might be possibility of contamination that take place during repackaging. So as and when we deal with such products, if we found that the sugar has been repackaged, such goods are being removed from the stores.
Now, if you find that as a business person, I am running a business, and you find that I'm not complying, what penalties am I going to get from the department? Since we have a consumer court that we know that it has been established years ago.
Fortunately, we've got an operating consumer affairs court, which makes a point that in the event where there are businesses that do not comply with the consumer protection legislation, such businesses are being brought before the Consumer Affairs Court, they have been prosecuted, and at the end of the day, if the court can then make a determination to the effect that the business is not compliant, or the business have not complied, or is in contravention of the consumer protection legislation, such a business get fined, or a consumer get an appropriate remedy. For example, you bought a product.
Let's cut it there, Ntate Letsoho. That is Ntate Sile Letsoho, Director of Consumer Protection, who is explaining to us about what is it that they are doing to make sure that the shops that we are buying goods from, they comply with the regulations. But we understand that the National Consumer Rights Day will be held in Rustenburg on the 15th of March this year. Studio.